and all of that. Now, public speaking comes with all of these reactions. So it comes with a whole lot of reactions that sometimes you want to. Some people feel like killing themselves if they are called to speak. I've had a student in one of my classes who said that the first time she was asked to speak, she fainted. So a lot of reaction comes from the fear of public speaking. But how do you conquer these fears? What are those things? Which is the reason why some of us are here, because some of us are conquered the fear, some haven't. So for those of us who have not conquered the fear, we are here to do what? To find the ways or the means or the approaches that established speakers have used over time to conquer this fear. But I want to let you know something. If you are one of those people who have that fear of public speaking, it is normal. Even those guys you see on TV, as outspoken as they have that fear. But theirs lasts for maybe about a second, half a second, or maybe 3 seconds, 5 seconds, basically, then it disappears. Because they have learned, so they've mastered the art of what are the things I can do in order to conquer these fears. So public speaking comes with a range of reactions. What are those reactions? When you're asked to speak, it comes in a range of reactions. What are those reactions? Pounding hearts, dry mouth, shaky hands, quivery voice, cold sweaty palm, stomach cramp. How many of us suffer any of this when you're called to speak? Yours is not there. Okay, yours is what? It's not there. My legs. Your legs. Shaky legs, okay? Yes.
Especially when I'm using my sound that's about.
Is this as a quivery voice? Yes. Only goes very far. Only quivery voice. Yours with your shaky legs. Not there. Yes. Anyone? None. Jumping of words. Okay, jumping of words. So that means your thoughts. There are some things you skip lines. The things you're supposed to say, you skip it. Is it like if it's a manuscript speech, or even if it's normal spontaneous speech or extemporaneous speech?
Sometimes you have a kind of thoughts that we express.
Is that your thoughts start jumping? What happens in your head whenever it's happening to you like that? Eh? You don't discover anything. Okay, what I'm talking about is like before it happens to you, what is it that goes through your mind?
For example, if I have
what is it that goes through your mind when it happens? Are you a perfectionist? Are you a perfectionist? You're not a perfectionist. Okay. Well, why I'm asking you this question is oftentimes the reason people skip and jump and all of that or get scared in front of their audience is that because they want to appear perfect. They want to appear perfect. They want people to be like, wow, this guy is smart. Yes, it's good for people to think you're smart. But the moment you have that thought of appearing so smart in your speech and all of that, that's when you start making mistakes in public speaking. They say the most confident people are stupid people. Do you know why? Stupid people are the most confident people. Do you know why? They are the most confident people because they don't care what you think about them. So when they express themselves, they think what they're saying is correct. So, but because you're not stupid, so you care about what people think about you. So whatever anybody is saying about you becomes a thing that impacts your presentation. So that is why you are comfortable discussing with your friends, telling your friends or teaching your friends the things you know. But when it's now time for you to teach people who are not your friends, you start skipping. Because after all, you've gotten comfortable with your what? With your friends. But you've not gotten comfortable with your what? With your audience. So why don't you do what? Transfer the kind of relationship you have with your friends, transfer it to your what? To your audience. So public speaking presents with all of these reaction. There are people who come down with all of this. I've seen people who tell you that they suffer for all of these things whenever they are called to speak, including more, instant headache, and the rest of them. You didn't answer. Which one do you suffer from? None of them? You're still thinking. Interesting. Which of these do you suffer from when you're called to speak in public?
Pounding hearts.
Pounding hearts. Only. Yes. Which one? Shaky hands and quivery voice. I can even sense the quivery voice right now. Yes. Only the dry mouth that is excluded, but the rest of them happens. Interesting. Yes. There are people who suffer for all of these things, including more. Personally, I used to be like that. Okay, mine was not here. What I do is, that time when I'm asked to do that kind of thing, I avoid that environment. I don't show up. So growing up, in primary school, I think it was primary 3 or so, we used to do morning devotion. So they said that, Idoko, you're going to be the one to anchor morning devotion the next day. Guess what? I used to come to school very early. Like, when I mean very early, I come before our gate man. I come to school before our gate man. I used to very early to school that time. So when I come, I wait at the gate until the gate man comes and open the school gate. I enter. Guess what? That day, I was just slowing down. Popsy was like, Emeka, are you not going to school today? He said, I will go to school. I'll just be roaming around. What I was doing was, I was finding a way so that before I could arrive at school, the assembly has ended, so that I could avoid that morning devotion. So it worked for me because I came late, and by the time I arrived school, they were already doing, marching, my home, waiting. Everybody's already marching back to the classes. I said, okay, I've succeeded. Went to the class. The Reverend Sister that was my class teacher at the time said, you avoided school. You came late today, right? No problem. You're not going to go home today. After school, after extramural lessons, we closed by 4. After extramural lesson, that's how this Reverend Sister took me to the convent and said that I'm not going to go home today. I cried my eyes out. I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried until if I had known what I know today, probably would not even shed tears. After all, I eat very well because it's convent, so they feed very well. So if I had known that it's the convent, that kind of, as a child, I'm thinking that it was serious punishment to go and live with Reverend Sisters. This person has punished me the highest. That was how I cried. Then Reverend Sister came out after around that kind of 4:30 or so to 5. Then handed me some pieces of abolomo and told me, bye-bye, go home. So that was how I left. Long story short, I now took a decision that I would never be disgraced like this in my life. So I had to take a stand. Fast forward to that 3rd term, they were supposed to do graduation ceremony. That's how at that time, I'm talking to you, I used to come 3rd from behind. Yes, I used to come 3rd from behind. As at that time I was talking to you about. So, and it was just because I moved from another school to that particular school, and it was my 2nd term. So the 3rd term was when this thing was happening. It was graduation period arrived. They were now talking about reading someone that would take the presentation or the speech, as the case may be. So they wrote it on the board, read it out. Then the first person that was asked to read was there were 2 people who were dragging first and second. If this person comes first this term, the other person will come second the next term. Chukudalo and Chisomunzewi. Chukudalo Kaf and Chisomunzewi, a boy and a girl. So when they called Chukudalo read everything that was on the board. Mind you, at this point, Idoko was not one of the kids that knew how to read. So Chukudalo read, and immediately Chukudalo finished reading, the next person that was called to read what was on the board was Chisom. It was as if my mind told me that You are the next they're going to call. You are the next you're going to call. So make sure you pay attention to whatever these guys are reading and do what? Read it the way they. Up to today is a miracle. I'm not joking. It's still a miracle. Because immediately after Chisom read, the next person that was called was Idoko. Read what was on the board. So I stood up. And to my greatest surprise, I read it. I think I could remember some parts of the speech. It was because it was Christmas, so they were talking about the birth of Jesus. A decree went on the speech. I could remember the speech line. This I'm telling you, like some 25 years ago, so thereabouts, 20 something years ago, 25 years ago. So a decree went on in the Roman Empire. Caesar Augustus commanded that everybody should go back to their home for counting. So Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem for the counting. I think that's the part I can remember. And all that, and all that, and all that. When I read that, my teacher was, you know what women were awestruck. She was standing, I was looking at me. How? That became my journey to public speaking. Because after that day, I never went back. Because I became the champion of the school immediately after that particular, I did that. So I went back home and crammed the speech very well in my head. I knew it, like if you could wake me up like this. So next day, I came late, unfortunately, the next day to school. And when I arrived at school, all the teachers were already waiting for me. All the teachers in the school from different classes were already waiting for me. Hey, we know that come and present it, come and present it, come and present it in the assembly. So they asked me, where is your paper and where you wrote the speech? I said, I don't have it, I left it at home. He said, oh, why are you not going to present it? I said, don't worry, I have it in my head. They were like, are you serious? Okay, come and present it. I stood up and I presented it in the assembly. That was when I knew that, you see, some of these results, the right to pupils, is not actually about what you wrote in exams. It's not actually about what you wrote in exams. It's about some of these activities that you participate in school and all of that. Guess what? That particular term, I came 7th. This is somebody that comes 3rd. We used to be 31 in our class. So that means I come 29, 30, 28, out of 31, 32, as the case may be back in the day. I came 7th that particular term. They gave me prize. They did not give the person that came first prize. They gave me prize. The next term, that was how I continued until I left the school and left one of the best pupils in the school. Now, why am I sharing this story? It is possible that you have all of these things, but it takes a lot of it. Maybe my own was divinity, because even to today, I cannot explain it. But it also comes from the fact that I desire to do what to improve that my God-given potential. So maybe God knew that someday I will be here sharing this story. That is why he gave me the opportunity to be able to do that. Enough of the story. All right. Now, accepting your fears and taking proactive steps. Accepting that, yes, it's normal to have that quivery voice. Accepting that it's normal to have instant headache. Accepting that it's normal to avoid school, just like I did. Accepting that you can have stomach cramps, cold sweaty palm, shaky hands, shaky legs, pounding heart, and all of that. And doing what? And letting the adrenaline rush work for you and not against you. It's something that you can do. So how do you transform all of these fears into excitement? How do you transform them into what? Excitement. Now, there are techniques that can work for you. Now, these techniques are some techniques that can work for you for any aspect of public speaking. For instance, a deep breathing exercise. Deep breathing. I used to work in a hospital and where we use oxygen to heal. So when they take someone's blood pressure is around 200. And you ask the person, take a deep breath in and out. Check that blood pressure again, it has crashed to about 1 something. Take another deep breath again, check that blood pressure again, it has crashed. That's how powerful oxygen is. Oxygen is life. So when you're asked to speak in public, just take a moment. If it's backstage or anywhere, take a deep breath in and out. Let the oxygen flow through from your nostrils to your brain, go through that, and you feel it on your feet as the oxygen is transferring or moving around your body, traveling around your body and all of that. And you see how that your pounding heart that's doing ping, 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 will do what? Will be coming down, will be coming down, will be coming down, will be coming down gradually. And once you see that, okay, it's coming down gradually, you see that you're settling in. But the problem most of the time is that once the pounding heart continues, a lot of us just keep to it and keep reminding ourselves that these people will finish me, these people will kill me, these people will do this one, they will laugh at me, they will do this one to me, they'll do that one to me, and all the many, many things that go through our head when we're asked to do what? To speak. Does anybody here have pounding hearts currently? Okay, you've not been asked to speak, right? So who is going first for manuscript speech? Are you suffering from pounding hearts?
No.
You're not. Okay, you can share it to them.
Any other Ruby? Any other Ruby? See? Yeah. So you don't have a group?
They don't have a group? You can share it in group.
So let's do this way. Everybody has a group rally.
All right. So who has a pounding heart? Let's test strong. You do? Okay. You have. Okay, you can go first. I don't think you have a pounding heart. You didn't mention it. You have a pounding heart. You want to go first. Did you practice this speech? We will not take you. Okay, you did not practice. Did you practice? Did you practice? I know you did. Did you practice? You're not serious. Did you practice? Did you not practice? Okay. Did you practice? You didn't. Did you practice? Small. This morning. Did you? At all. You just got the speech now, so there's no way you could have practiced. You just got it this morning. You read through it once. Only. Okay. So who's going first? A round of applause for who is going first. Okay, let's clap for him. Good morning. I don't think they can hear you. See, hold this. People online so that they can hear you. Just wait.
Okay. Good morning, class. My name is Walsimira Kubuleka. I'm here to present a manifesto. Okay. A manifesto presented by Comrade Idoko Ichukwuemeka Ding. Okay, I should jump this. Okay. It is with warmest delight that I stand before you today on the floor of Madonna Writing and Speaking Association to present my humble manifesto. Permit me, my fellow comrade, to reiterate my fraternal compliment of the day to our dear country, Nigeria, which is culminated in the ongoing transition process. It is my belief that we all utilize the great occasion for not only spiritual stock taking, but also for sober reflection on ourselves and our dear country. We are no doubt better equipped to move forward with the renewed determination and unwavering focus, but that is the story for another day. I'm happy with the zeal I see in our hearts to better yourself here in Mawasa. Martin Luther King had his own idea of what a work attitude should look like. He said, if a man is called to sweep the street, he sweep the street even as Michelangelo painted, as Shakespeare wrote poetry, and the Beethoven composed music. He should sweep the street so well that All the host of heaven and earth will praise and say, here lived a great sweeper who did his job well. In other words, whatever that is worth doing well. Having said this, it is important that I go ahead and render my heartfelt intention for our intellectual home, Mawasa. It is no longer.
Comments? Yeah? Yes? Comments? Yes? It was reading through. Okay? Yes. That's what you wanted to point out. No eye contact, right? Yes?
Can I take it?
What again? He was shaking. Okay? He skipped something interesting. That's why you have his speech. Yes. What other comments? Well, the truth is, I like your voice. Very nice. You were outspoken. But the problem was that it's not a speech. Nobody can follow that. If you stand in an election, nobody will vote for you in that way. Because there is no touch, you're not connecting because that speech is supposed to allow you to what? Connect with your audience. Interact with them. And that interaction is what? Your eyes, the way you look at them. So whenever you say, you're greeting them. You said happy democracy day. You didn't even raise your head to look at the people you're wishing happy democracy day. And smile at them so that they can understand that sincerely you're actually wishing them a happy democracy day. So all of those are part of what you should work on in your speech. And then your pace was too fast. You were too fast. So that your audience can understand it better. So what I need to do is just go back. I know you're just saying, you're just looking at the speech now, like you said. Take it. Why are you having a pounded hands?
No, I'm having shaking legs.
Shaking legs?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Round of applause for you. Thank you. Who's going next? Okay. Take.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like this. Okay. Okay, like this. Okay. Greetings. The Independent Mawasa Electoral Commission, the executives of our intellectual home, ladies and gentlemen, happy Democracy Day. It is with women's delight that I stand before you today on the floor of the Madonna Writing and Speaking Association to present my humble manifesto. Permit me, my fellow comrades, to reiterate my fraternal compliment of the day to our dear country, Nigeria, which is culminated in the ongoing transition process. It is my belief that we all utilize this great occasion for not only spiritual stock taking, but also for sober reflection on ourselves and our dear country. We are no doubt better equipped to move forward with renewed determination and unwavering focus. But that is the story for another day. I am happy with the zeal I see in your heart here to better yourself here in Mawasa. Martin Luther King had his own idea of what a work attitude should look like. He said, if a man is called to sweep the street, he sweep the street even as Michelangelo painted, as Shakespeare wrote poetry, and as Beethoven composed music. He should sweep the street so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will praise and say, here lived a great sweeper who did his job well. In other words, whatsoever that is worth doing is worth doing well. Having said this, it is important that I go ahead and render my heartfelt intention for our intellectual home, Mawasa. It is no longer news that Mawasa is the pioneer intellectual capacity building association in Madonna University. And as such, it is our collective responsibility to raise in us great speakers, proficient writers, provident leaders, and noble laureates. By this, if I'm elected the president of this association, I will see to the organization of intellectually provoking programs like competitions within and outside, our association, seminars and workshops delivered by great men and women who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of studies, which will help us bring out the best in us. More so, the outgoing executives have done their best in making sure that Mawasa is fully equipped and well established. But just like Oliver Twist, we want some more. That is why I will be bent on building on this legacy laid down by our past and present leaders. Hence, I would make sure that we enrich our academic nerve center, which is our library, with more good and quality books if I'm elected as president. Also, if I'm elected as the president of this behemoth association, I would make sure that Mawasa is fully publicized, not only within this community and our sister campuses, but also the world at large. By uploading the video clips of what we are known for on YouTube, which will be viewed by anybody around the world at any point in time. We will also produce intellectual video clips, which would be transferred to anybody who cares to have it via Bluetooth and other mediums. Mawasa, it will be my priority and that of the incoming executives, if I am elected, is to give each and every one of us seated here a sense of belonging by serving you. And I promise that your welfare, to the best of my ability, will be taken care of. And through the progress of the would-be occupant of the welfare office, your needs shall be met. Not forgetting our bank, the treasury. I shall ensure that through the expertise of the would-be financial secretary, my Awasans will be convinced that there is no harm in paying their dues. And subsequently, Mawasa purse will increase in strength. Mawasa, finally, I must state in clear terms that this office is a sacred trust. And if I'm elected as the 7th president of this noble association, I am determined to be worthy of that trust. Let us look ahead and achieve our common foresight together. Because success, they say, starts with a will to win. And like late Margaret Thatcher said, the desire to win is in most of us. And the will to win is a matter of training, and the manner of winning is a matter of honor. So let us determine to win today. So we trudge the path of honor. So I sincerely will appreciate this golden call to service, but bearing in mind that I could still contribute in whatsoever manner available. I wouldn't mind a more competent hand in as much as Mawasa will beat mountain top. Speak out loud and not only be heard, but listened to in the nearest future. Once again, I am Comrade Idoko Chukwemeka Dents. Long live Nigeria, long live Anambra State, long live Madonna University, Nigeria, long live Madonna Writing and Speaking Association. God bless you all. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yes, comment.
I think she did very well with everything and through contact, the communication, I think she did very well.
Thank you. Yes, comments. Okay.
That's what is manifested. She wrote it. We are assuming that she wrote it.
Yes.
So she has to say it. If she's reading through it, obviously that somebody. So we cannot put that because maybe she got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
She did very well. Yeah, in everything, except I noticed that hand.
Exactly.
Yes, the hand was shaky. You were very observant.
My body was shaking.
You were very observant. Yes. Yes, I agree. For your pace. Your pace. There are parts that you can pace very fast. But there are also parts that you need to slow down. Especially when you want to give the quotes that are in the speech. There are there's a place I expected that maybe you just pause a little bit and say the quote. Take your voice a little bit higher, then break it down. Your voice was like the same level like this, was on one level. But public speaking expects that your voice goes up like this, comes down, goes up, comes down. You understand? So that your audience will not feel you don't sound monotonous. So you're supposed to be flexible in the way you sound. So you go up. That's why when you are giving quotes, the expectation is that you go up a little bit because you're quoting somebody. So you need to give that quote like preeminence kind of. That's why even when you see a written quote, for example, when they are quoting somebody, it is bolded because the expectation is that that particular quote should be given the preeminence. So when you're quoting it, even in a verbal speech like you're just doing now, you're expected to do what, take it up a little bit higher than the rest of them and all that. But I thought you did well, besides the shaky hands and it showed that she did what to practice. Not lie. There's no way you can read that speech like that.
No, I said I did a little. Yeah.
Please round of applause for her. The benefit of practicing. Yes. Who's going next? Who? Please round of applause for her. Thank you. Just take a deep breath in, out. You have a pounding heart.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take this. Let's take this. Let's take it. Consider.
Okay.
You can hold it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Let's take this activity. I'm starting this. In your heart, when you're expected to stage, and you have that fear, a few seconds of fear, like believe she has it now. Some of us already have that one because you expected that maybe you're the next person to do that, to go on stage to do the presentation. Because after now, whatever we ask if you're ready, we just pick you randomly. Yes, I'm not asking if you're ready, so it doesn't have to be who are ready. Really, the next person that's going to do, I'll pick myself. So when you're called like that and you know it's expected of you, try and you can close your eyes. You put your hands like this, then close your eyes. Count of 1, 2, 3. Take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. In. Out. In. Hold it. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. How do you feel? How do you feel? You feel more relaxed? You feel more relaxed, right? Yes, that's what deep breathing does for you. The reason this deep breathing is good for a public speaker is that you're expected to relax before you get up to do what to speak. Because if you carry that anxiety that is on you, it's less than first. If you carry that anxiety that comes from the speech and then you go on stage, you see yourself stuttering, you see yourself jumping lines, you see yourself doing what? Your legs are shaking. You see yourself getting so scared that you will not be able to do or perform optimally the way you should perform. So what you need to do is you want to calm your nerves down first before you do what you go on that stage. But you can't go on stage and be doing deep breathing on stage. I'm not saying deep breathing, like you go on stage and then but it has to be before you go on stage. Just take a minute. All right. Yes. Okay.
Like me, I've been asking myself, like in church, I just okay. It is easier for you to sing the same than to even come out and talk or do something. Okay. And I noticed because of this, hearing voice to
Deep breathing. Yeah, sure, definitely. You can't go deep breathing. As far as public speaking is concerned, deep breathing is magical. Yes.
A valedictory speech presented by Comrade Idoko Chukwuemeka
Don't be
Dennis.
great.
Okay.
From that side, yes. Okay.
I should what?
Drop that heading.
Okay. The father founder, our benign patrons, our founder, Mr. John Obechina, quondam presidents and executives of our association, reverend members of the high table, our distinguished guests, our venerated finalists, our beloved Mawasans, ladies and gentlemen. A year has passed since this administration started, and today precedes the genesis of events of a new administration. And I want to state unequivocally that we are ready for this new episode. I count it a privilege to have been part of this vision, born out of the desirous mind to promote intellectualism among our great minds through the strong propagation of writing and speaking vision. I thank you for the contributions and the sacrifices you have made all this while. However, I cannot fail to thank you for this distinguished honor and for the confidence which was bestowed on me for the last 1 year as the locomotive engineer of this moving train. More also, in the last 1 year, it has been quite rewarding for Mawasa, because in the last 1 year, we are able to synchronize our synergy in maintaining our collective vision, preserve the inheritance of our past leaders, and place this association at the pinnacle of academic powers in this institution. It was evident in the 2015 Maldona University International Convention for the experts and professionals, a feat that is second to none. Furthermore, in the bid to respect the first and the second arm of our name, which is writing and speaking, we advertise our resolve to be having a weekly class, rehearsal class, which has proven to be effective in helping us confront stage fright with intense audacity and bringing out the latent writing and speaking potentials in us. Today marks a new beginning in the history of our behemoth association, a new page in the life cycle of Mawasa. We usher in our new president, Comrade Akumbilio C. Clement, a man of impeccable character, and the new light that will take Mawasa to the next level of efficiency. Our venerated finalists. Today marks a new page in your life, and just like Oprah Winfrey would say, it doesn't matter how far you have rise, at some point you're bound to stumble. If you are consistently pushing yourself higher, the laws of average, not to mention the minds of Icarus, predict that you will at some point fall. And when you do, I want you to know this. Remember this, there is no such thing as failure. Failure is just like trying to move on to another direction. In the same vein, in the words of Steve Jobs, your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living the result of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuitions. They somehow already know what you truly want to be. Come, everything else is secondary. Beloved patrons, if I fail to thank you, it therefore means there is no ounce of truth in this address, because your support and encouragement cannot be overemphasized. Beloved Mawasans, Today is that day which I bid you a welfare as the president of our Lieutenant Association, and I must confess, I am indebted and beholden to Mawasa for this opportunity to serve. In the words of Oyekunyi Ulo Asukwo, when a man's heart is full, words are few, and his expression of gratitude is shown in only 2 words. Thank you. Finally, I want to leave us with the words of Marianne Williamson, which says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measures. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? But actually, who are we not to be? We are born to make manifest the glory of God within us. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people the permission to do same. Long live our country, Nigeria. Long live Madonna University, Nigeria. Long live Madonna Writing and Speaking Association. Long live Mawasa. Thanks and God bless you. Thank you.
Comments? Thank you. Yes. Good. Good. Yes.
We are following the lines. There are 3 places which we must consider.
More than 3. More than 3. Yes. More than 3. There are different places. I was counting in my head. Yes. Any other comments? I think besides the speaking of some words or putting it differently, maybe where you're supposed to say experience, you say expatriate. I'm using that as an example. Yes, you have some of those things that, and that's a good thing. You know why? Because your audience does not know. Yes, it's a good thing. I was a bit disappointed when you got to the point where you were doing Mira Williamson's and quotes, and you made a mistake, you skipped the line, and then you were like, you wanted to you did something like an apology. You don't apologize to us. That mistake, but I'm supposed to know that there was a mistake.
No, when I was there, my hands were shaking, so that's why I skipped. I discovered it was obvious.
Now, you see, nobody knows. You guys know your hand was shaking at that point? Do you know? So you pointed our attention to it. You're the one that gave us the information that yes, this is it. You understand? So if I wasn't paying attention to that point of your presentation, if you had not even maybe paid attention to it and just went ahead and did what you did and all of that, nobody will know that at that point, say, joking. Nobody will know. But above all, that was an excellent presentation. Thank you. Please a round of applause for her. Yes. Next. Okay, I said I was going to point. How do you ask me? Please, a round of applause for her. Thank you. All right.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I just start from where is that? Let me see your speech. Let me see your speech. Start from here. Start from here.
The father founder, our benign patron, our father, Mr. John Obiachina, Condom presidents and executives of our association, reverend members of the High Table, our distinguished guests, our venerated finalists, beloved Moassans, ladies and gentlemen. I feel deeply elated as I stand before you today. I'm grateful for the task you have bestowed on me, mindful of the sacrifices borne by our predecessors and a beneficiary of your careful support and mandates. Years have passed since the inception of our noble association, and today we are a united people, more closely knit with one another, with a common resolve to develop our God-given potential through the writing and speaking vision, no doubt. More united and certainly not less determined than some years when our predecessors come together to follow this good cause. I thank you for the distinguished honor and for the confidence which has been reposed in me in the just concluded election as the captain of this success ship. If I fail to comment on the zeal I see in your hearts to better yourselves here in Mawassa, it therefore means that there is no ounce of truth in this address. I must state in clear terms that a lot has been done, but there is still more to do. The state of our association library calls for action, bold and swift. We will act not only to assuage the situation, but to put a final stop to this problem by making more intellectually nourishing books readily available in the library in order to revive the reading culture in our member by assuring that materials from all facts of life are made available in our ever hospitable mental cafeteria, where time is legal tender. Furthermore, inasmuch as adversity remains the viral tool to unearth a person's true strength, we shall not hesitate in introducing interesting and mind-stimulating competitions, both within and outside the association. Seminars and workshops delivered by great men and women who have distinguished themselves in their various fields of endeavor, which will help bring out the best in us and would naturally give us an edge over our contemporaries. More so, it gives me a great concern in the foreseen decrease in the numerical strength of the association when our venerated finalists exist the great walls of this environment in order to define their lives the more outside these walls, for their voices to be heard. But however, I have decided not to worry because the little I know about worries is that it gives small things big shadows. And I'm glad to say that by uploading intellectual video clips of Mawassa programs on YouTube, we will not beg for members from our sister campuses or anywhere around the globe, but they will be forced to join our numerical strength, and our numerical strength will be regained because such video clips will go viral and it can be accessed by anybody around the world. Beloved patrons, this administration will earnestly maintain the warm relationship between the association and her patron in order for her members to continue to enjoy the divided acreage from the warmth of our patrons. Mawassans, it should be down on us that moving this association to a greater height is rather a collective duty of us all and not a burden for the executives alone to have. With open arms, we shall entertain your constructive criticisms, for we want to serve you the very best way we can, and I will plead with you not to be tedious as to the reformation policies we the Executive Council shall embark on. Therefore, let us be disciplined and committed to the duty or duties of this association, as discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. Mawassa, I must confess that this office is a sacred trust, and as the 7th president, I am determined to be worthy of that trust. Let us look ahead and achieve our common goal or vision, the writing and speaking vision together. So I charge you all to continue in the sum of what is best of our behemoth association, and in the words of Barack Obama, yes, our path may be harder, but it leads to a better place. Yes, our road may be longer, but we travel it together. We don't turn back, we leave no one behind. We pull each other up. We draw strength from our victories and we learn from our mistakes. But we keep our eyes fixated on that distant horizon, knowing that Providence is with us. Long live Nigeria, long live Madonna University, long live the Madonna Writing and Speaking Association. Thanks and God bless you all.
Comments, please. Yes.
The thing is, I think I wasn't going to. Not that she's not good. She's good. Of course, I noticed that the only difference between what I don't do and she tries.
Yes.
The first time she told the story, that people who were going through and not able to do same thing to me. But when she had me, I was actually doing it very well. She did not know the way to present it. That's why we're doing it. The second time, she did it very well. So same thing to me. Sometimes when I'm looking for the phone, I think happens to me last week. The body was called the phone. Since everybody was doing, but God saved me, and the chairman had another meeting, so he suspended. So I observed the second time when I came to speak, but I got money out of the speech. So I think something is going to ahead. Yes, something. I think something. I don't know how to place it. I will not say, but something will be going through your head. That's the same thing that was going through your head. I was discouraging her. But you're good. You're good.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Considering where she's coming from.
Yes.
Yes, she did very well in terms of her speaking out. You know, when she started, her voice was a bit quaky and she was a bit shaky, but she picked up. Yes, she got comfortable. Okay. My only issue with her throughout was her eye contact. Even though sometimes she was looking up, but her looking up was in a language of, am I doing it well?
But what I thought when she looked up was that she was asking, "Tell me to stop now." Yeah. That was what I thought when I saw her. Oh, yes.
That's mine.
Good observation. Yes.
Apart from this, the subsequent one, maybe she did not rehearse in the first instance. Maybe the subsequent one was her accent was flowing. So the subsequent one, I believe she's going to fill this in the so
I agree. Yes.
The basic problem, I think, is problem of face.
Okay. Problem of face. She was shy of that. Yes. She was shy of you.
For me, everything was good, but she was not speaking out. Really on.
I agree. Yes. Any other comments? Any other comments? Well, Haja, it's a round of applause for her. The truth is, I like your progress, to be honest. The fact that you moved from like this to here, to here, to here, that's a whole lot of progress. The gradual progress was good. And besides what they have mentioned, the eye contact, which you're acutely aware of, the next thing I also want you to do is to put energy in the speech. There was no energy in the speech. There has to be, I know maybe you're a calm person, but there are speech that you don't want an election. Now, I want us to always, when you're coming on stage, whichever the kind of speech you're reading, if it's an inaugural address or a validatory speech or an election manifesto, whichever one, the kind of speech determines your body language or determines how you express every single word in that speech. That is what is expected of you. So because you won an election, that's an inaugural address, you're supposed to come with a lot of energy. Did you see Tinubu when it was May 29th? As I say, subsidy, gone, gone. That's the kind of energy we want you to have, you know, because obedience were surprised that, I thought this man really do baba blue, blabber, and all of that, and he's on inauguration day, and he's doing subsidy, gone. And he's all has spoken, and everybody's like shocked. This is not the Tinubu that we all thought he was before the election, as the case may be. That's a story for another day. All right. So every speech comes with the energy that comes with that speech. So as an inaugural speech, the expectation is that you're supposed to sound like someone who just won an election. And you're ready to do what, to hit the ground running. You're there to do what to... Okay, I see what you... Yes. So that is the expectation. Brother Bobo, you did very well. Please a round of applause for her one more time. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So let's just do a bit of the class and then we'll come back again to your practical. We've talked about what? Deep breathing. The next technique you can apply in public speaking besides deep breathing, which while we're taking this one is also just to point out for you, you are talking about that thing that's going through your head and all of that, is to shift focus outward. So here we said many people perform worse than they could because they focus too much on their words. It happened to her. Because our hands were shaking at the point, so she felt that we knew that impacted what she was to say at that point. You understand? It impacted what she was supposed to say at that point. So that is what happens to you when you pay much attention to what will people say. Would they laugh at me? Would they say I be Olodo? Would they say I be this one? Say I don't know what they talk about. Would they say I have bad accent? Would they say I have an Igbo accent? Would they say I have a Yoruba accent? So all of those things that go through your head are part of what impacts your presentation. So how do you manage this? By shifting focus what? Outwards. So forget all those shaky hands, those sweaty palms, and those embarrassing things that you do, and just focus on what? What is it that I am here to do? I'm here to do what? Do this presentation. I'm here to do this presentation. I'm here to make sure that my audience gets to do what? Learn something. We said last week that the whole essence of public speaking is about what? Influence. You have a reason why you are going on that stage. You're there to teach people. That the reason I'm here on this stage is to improve our public speaking skills. If you get it, I have done my job. If you learn it, one or two things you can apply in your public speaking journey, I've done my job. I've been able to influence you in one way or the other. So that is what public speaking is about. So whenever you are there to do what? To speak, like this speech you did a valedictory address. You are there to influence people, to make them understand that you're going, but you're charging them, you're transferring the light to the new person that is coming. And that new person that is coming will take us to the next level of proficiency. And then you are encouraging your fellow finalists that they should not be worried about the things that happen out there. It's normal. You encourage them using the words of prominent people like Oprah Winfrey and the rest of them, Steve Jobs. That is what public speaking is about. So when you know this, when you understand that the only thing I'm here to do is to improve these people, the only thing I'm here to do is to give them this information, the only thing I'm here to do is to pass on this. I want them to vote for my candidates in an election. I want them to buy my products. I want them to stop throwing trash on the streets. I want them to stop cutting down trees and the rest of them. I want them to stop engaging in fornication as a pastor. Because the reason that pastor is preaching for you is for you to stop doing what? Your evil ways. So if someone repents from their evil ways, or if he touches someone's heart, to at least have a little bit of conscience, the pastor has done his job. That's where you hear things like, the pastor wants someone's soul, as the case may be. So public speaking is about all of those things. So when we're talking about shifting focus outwards, we're saying just focus on what? The message. Okay, let's take it this way. Have you ever felt that there's an information that you have that if you don't say it, these people might not know? Have you ever felt that way before? You felt that way, right? That burning desire. You know that I have this information, I want to give these people, because if I don't give them, no other person will give them that information. That is how you should feel in public speaking. So when that fear comes, What you need to do is to knock that fear out. Say, man, get away, get away. What I'm here to do is for a purpose. I'm here to talk to these people. I'm here to improve their lives. I'm here to do what? I'm here to make myself relevant, even if that is the reason why you're doing that speech. Because there are people who are making speech because they want to make themselves what? Relevant. Some of us who are doing this speech as we are here now is because you want to improve your public speaking skills. So you want people to tell you, this is where you're getting it wrong, this is where you're getting it right, this is a place you need to improve, this is a place you need to do or continue at the pace you're going, you're doing well. That is why you raise your hand, I want to go first. That is why you raise your hand, I want to go next. Because you want to do what? Improve yourself. That becomes the burning desire. That becomes the reason why you're doing what? Why you are there to do what? To make that speech at that particular point in time. So every speaking engagement comes with a purpose in mind. So the only thing you're interested in is that purpose, which is what the message you're doing what? You are to pass. That is why the shifting focus would help you. Forget all of those things. Nobody cares. I was telling her. Did you guys notice that her hands were shaking at that point of where did you notice it? No. But she sold herself out. So that means a lot of people in the audience do not know. So even when you make mistake, you're supposed to say is, you say ah, or you say words. When you're supposed to say is and the rest of them. 80% of the time, nobody in the audience knew you made that mistake, only you. So why apologize? Why saying sorry, I made a mistake? When the moment you say sorry, you're already calling our attention to that mistake. I say, oh, after all, it's even human. Now, the thing about public speaking also is that when you are there on that stage, people see you as a god. They see you as infallible, that you're magical. How can someone, because public speaking is not for the faint-hearted. That's the honest truth. It's not easy. So when you're on stage making a presentation, people assume that this guy is above board. This person is a special being. God gave them a special gift. So when they see you like that, they expect that there's no mistake. But when you now make mistake, they be like, oh, after all, it's human being. Our thinking is a superhuman and all of that. I felt like that as at least exposed in public speaking as I was at the time. The day I saw Obama making mistake, I'm like, oh, so even Barack Obama makes mistake too in public speaking. So that is what happens to the rest of the audience when they do what? When you make mistake and you point out that mistake to them. It's a different thing that they notice it themselves without you pointing it to them. But it's a different ballgame altogether when you are the one pointing it to them and telling them that my legs are shaking. That there are people who get so this thing, they like, oh, this leg that is shaking, their leg is shaking, they'll be hitting their leg on the floor. Some people will be doing like this, trying to get comfortable, looking for anything that can do what, or they will look for somewhere to rest their hands so that nobody will notice that their hands are shaking. Most of the time, nobody knows your hands are shaking. But it's you. Except the only person that will know your hands is shaking is somebody who is there to find out where's the fault. That's the only person that would know that you were shaking. The only person that is, like in this class now, you are allowed to find faults. You see, in this class, everybody in this class is allowed to do what? To look for faults in your classmates. Reason is that that's the only way all of us can improve in public speaking. We used to have chief critic in every public speaking class. I don't think we have one yet in this class. We used to have somebody that everybody hates because he's always pointing error. Nobody likes that person. They don't like that person in the class. He's always pointing error. Anybody that makes a speech, he will raise his hand. But you know the thing I tell them is that, you see that person, that should be the most loved person in that class. In fact, when you're done with class, you're supposed to go and buy that person drink. Yes, you're supposed to go and buy that person drink, that chief critic. But oftentimes, what happens is that people will be like, let's wait for him now, his own turn, you see. Everybody will just waiting for him. The moment I say, oh yeah, come and do your speech, everybody will clap, yes. So that he will now come, when he's on that stage, everybody will now be like, waiting for him. When he now make mistake, before you even say any comment, everybody hand there. I have a comment. Now, the desire to do or to also criticize him by all means, without knowing that he's actually doing you good. In fact, if you walk into a public speaking class and you don't see a chief critic, just walk out of that class. Leave that class. Honestly. Because you can never get better in that kind of class. That's the truth. You must have, that's how important a chief critic is. Somebody who is looking out. This leg is shaking. Like the person is sitting there and he knows whose leg is shaking from here. His leg is shaking. He jumped 3 lines. There was one part he did not do well. He did not manage the stage very well. He didn't maintain eye contact. All those things they keep telling you, gets you improved in public speaking. I became a little bit better when I managed my ego in public speaking after I lost a lot of competition in the university. It was a judge that pointed me at, see, the reason why, because everybody will be like, hey, you're supposed to win this competition now. You're supposed to win, like after the competition. You're supposed to win now. You're supposed to win. I'm like, I see, I did not win. It was one of the judges that called me later and told me, do you know why the judges did not give you this thing? Because you were overconfident. So overconfident became what? A problem. So what did I do? I started retracting. I started working on myself. To allow people, because your audience, why they have to judge me like that is that they don't want you to continue in that light and then continue like that to the point that it gets to a point you become a world-known speaker, you start belittling your audience. You start looking down your audience, start underestimating them. I know you don't know this. I know you've never heard this before. All those kind of talk, anything that can belittle your audience. So they don't want that. So as a speaker, you must be able to get to a point where you guard that ego, guard that thing that comes in your mind that tells you that, oh, you are above every other person. You are better than every other person and all of that. So that was what helps me. So why am I sharing these things? I'm sharing because public speaking is way beyond just coming to just make a speech and all of that. So forget all of those things and do what? Move ahead. For the criticism and all of that, take it seriously. Because I personally took that if I had continued at the pace I was, I don't think I would want to teach public speaking. Honestly. But because it got to a point, God improved and all of that, and by the special grace of God, I'm here teaching public speaking. Enough of that. All right. The next one is visualization. That's the next technique you can apply that can help you. Visualization. Visualization, also known as mental rehearsal. See yourself make a speech. Visualize yourself. Within maybe just take about 10 to 15 minutes. Close your eyes. Only you in a quiet place and visualize yourself making that speech. It's just like creation. Like when people are artists. Before they draw it, they already mentally pictured it in their head. So that's the same thing with public speaking, the art of public speaking. Before you do the actual presentation, you've mentally in your head practice how you're going to do or how you're going to be on that stage. For those of us who practice, did you see yourself? Did you, maybe when you're practicing, feel like, okay, this is how I'm going to do it and all of that? Did you do all of those things? Yes. So when you do visualization, what you're doing, you're picturing the stage. That is why we usually advise speakers, before you go on to speak on the day of the presentation, do a final dress rehearsal. A final dress rehearsal is an opportunity for you to go on that stage that you're supposed to speak, look at the stage, observe the environment, get acquainted with the environment. Then even so that even when you go home, the mental picture of how the stage is like is in your head. You already know. Like I have a full day today. I'm going for our alumni end of the year party this night to come back, maybe, I don't know. And then tomorrow morning, I have an anchor program in church, like our end of our cultural day in one of the parishes I used to go to. And then from there, I'll move to another parish to anchor end of the year. These two places, in my head, my head has been running riot for the past week, trying to picture the different stages where I'm going to anchor these programs in. What am I doing? I'm doing it. I'm trying to picture myself on those stages, doing a mental rehearsal, so that on the D-Day, It's as if I've done this before, I've been on this stage before, I've done this presentation, and that's what visualization does for you. What visualization does for you is that it helps you to do what? To put yourself in that, is as if you, like when you're used to this stage now, if you've done the presentation on this stage, first time, second time, third time, fourth time, you are familiar with this stage. It's different when you are doing it on this stage, and then another time you're doing it on another stage, another time you're doing it on another stage, another time you're doing it on another stage, and all of that. You really, the anxiety is more than when you did it on this stage today, the next time you did it on this stage, the next time again you're doing it on this stage. You see yourself, you start getting more acquainted with the stage, start getting more relaxed. So the anxiety start reducing until it disappears entirely. That's why you do what? Visualize yourself making a speech. It helps you to do what? To get acquainted with that environment and get acquainted with the lines of your presentation. So when you know that, okay, this is my speech now, like this speech that is given to all of you now. When you rehearse it, maybe for those of you who can cram, and then you now see yourself reading it to yourself, practicing it, visualizing it in your head and all of that. That's how you do what? You start getting comfortable. Before you know, you get better at it. Those of us online, I hope you guys are following. All right. So that is for what? Visualization. All right. The next one is focusing on facts and not fear. What's the fact? What did you study in school? Survey and what? Geoinformatics. What did you study in school? Estate management and valuation. That's a fact. Is anybody going to remove that from you? That's a fact. So the fact is what? Focus on the facts of your presentation. Why are you there? Because once you focus on the fact is that you are an expert in that topic you're going to be speaking on. When you're called to make a presentation about estate management, will you have any problem with that? That's a fact because it's your field. It's something you know. Let's say I call you now to come and make a presentation about paints. Will you not be able to do it? Perfect. That's a fact. Because that's what you do. That's what you do for a living. So when anybody comes and tells you that, oh, this is, you stand up and you do what? You were able to do what? To do it. Oh, you even carry this man. So what am I saying? When you are called to speak, focus on facts and not fears. Not your fears. Because when you focus on the facts, that is when the confidence comes. It's that confidence you're picking. You're using that focusing on fact to do what? To pick up confidence. How do you do that? By speaking to yourself. So what I do is, okay, but let's take this one first. So that I can also share with you what I do on my own personally as my own focusing on facts and not fears. The truth is that there are things that you know better than anybody. That's the truth. Even if you don't know it better than every other person, at least there's a certain level of knowledge you have about that particular thing, which means that your knowledge can pass on to something outstanding. Like if I want to discuss politics with anybody, as far as Nigerian politics is concerned, even the politicians themselves, I can comfortably, that's the guys who play actual politics, I can comfortably sit and discuss politics with them and not sound like I know nothing about politics. That's because of what? I'm interested in it. I've been able to get enough information about it, so I'm confident about it. So when I'm called upon to speak about the Nigerian politics and all of that, I'm able to do what? To stand and do it confidently because I already know this thing, and that's the fact. So whenever I'm called to do that, I can. But when you tell me about, there are people I envy in a good way on Twitter when they speak about the economy. I want to be able to sound. I want to be able to, like, in fact, if I'm going to go for an MBA in economics or anything, it's because I want to be able to be as savvy as these guys in economics, in economic analysis, and the rest of them. They are so good. So that is how it is. So that those people now who are that good, any day you pick them up and call them to discuss the economic landscape of Nigeria, they are able to do that without feeling anything because it's something they know by the tip of their fingers. So what you now need to do is to do what? To reassure yourself when you're called to, like that person now who is going to do. It doesn't mean that economics is not going to have that fear of when they is called upon to talk about Nigerian economic landscape, maybe to discuss it on channels TV as the case may be. It doesn't mean it's not going to be scared, maybe have like 1 minute of that fear and all of that. But because he's an expert in it, the moment he gets on it, he gets comfortable, he has reassured us, it's something I do, it's something I discuss every day now. Like if you call me now, discuss Nigerian politics, that fear will come. But even as much as I will not say, but this is something I do every day with my friends. This is something I discuss every day. This is something I can discuss at any level as far as it is a national discourse is concerned. So that is what you do to yourself when you're called to speak, or when you're called by doing what? Repeating after me. Repeat after me. I have practiced my speech many times. I'm an expert on this topic. I have notes with major bullet points to keep the structure of my talk. I have practiced my speech many times. I am an expert on this topic. I have notes with major bullet points to keep the structure of my talk. That's words of affirmation. Words of affirmation are powerful in public speaking. They are super powerful. So what you can do is to choose your own affirmation. So what's my own affirmation? My own affirmation is personal, but I'd like to share with you. Whenever I am called to speak, yes, I will consider my knowledge about that particular field. But most importantly also, the only thing that is the biggest encouragement I have is my voice. That's my biggest encouragement. So what I do is, then it's normal now. Even if you don't know what you're talking about, your voice will confuse them. Honestly, that's the truth. Your voice will confuse them. Because the moment you pick up that mic and say, hello, good afternoon, everybody will be like, who is that? Who is talking? You've gotten the attention of everybody. So it made me over time, and I said, okay, this is my strength. So what do I need to do? Keep improving on it. So you can look out for what is your strength. I had a schoolmate who was an MC in the university. We call her Lady Q. Lady Q's strength is her physique, the way she looks. That's her strength in public speaking, like that MC work that she does. Very outspoken, very fine accent. She read mass communication. If you see her accent, looks British, sounds British. But that's not even what people are interested in. That's not what endears her to her audience. Because she's not the only person that has that kind of phonetic accent as the rest of them. But what endears her to her audience is her physique. So she knows this. So whenever she's going on, have you seen a proper figure 8 before? You see a proper figure 8. Lady Q is a typical example of a proper figure 8. She looks like this. That is a proper figure 8. So whenever she goes on stage, once she just, she'll just catch up. You know, this is where her backside is. She's blessed, no jokes. And she knows this. So whenever let's make welcome Lady Q, when she just strike a pose, everything will come out. The boys will be like, woo! At the moment everybody shouts, woo! The confidence does what? Surges. Then she now start feeling herself. Because she knows, and now what she does is that she now go to where the boys are. I went to private university, so we usually sit differently. Because the Catholic university, so where the girls sit is different from where the boys sit. So instead of her to go for, even when sometimes you now go where the girls are, some of them are friends, you now be like, woo! Do it, girl. And not because of what she's saying, but because of what? The way she looks. That's public speaking for you. She has found her what? Her strength. There are people whom their strength is what? Statistics. If they stand and read that statistics for you, you'll be marveled. Like this person is super smart. He's too intelligent. Jesus Christ. Peter Obi. These are one of the reasons why obedience like him, even though sometimes statistics are lie. But the point is that statistics, people like you see a lot of people, you see the way they love the statistics, like, oh, that guy is too smart. See the way he's reading out numbers. See the way he's reading out numbers and all of that. So that's his strength. So if you once you just copy to speak, the first thing you say, Bangladesh, the GDP of Bangladesh, the GDP of this one, you start putting numbers for you. Numbers. And the moment you start putting numbers, everybody will be like, why we not go vote for this candidate? We will vote. You see, everybody have their own strengths. Now there are people, their own strength is the power of their dressing. The way they dress. E.g., Ebuka. Ebuka doesn't do anything spectacular in NC work. He doesn't do anything. There's nothing spectacular about Ebuka's anchoring a program. The only spectacular about him is what dressing. That is why after every appearance, the only thing you keep talking about is not what he said. But did you see what Ebuka got today? So, and he has known that his strength is that dressing. That is what keeps people talking about him. What did he do? He kept on doing feeding our desires. He kept on feeding our desires, giving us back to back. What normally way person knows supposed to be a come outside, you can go and come outside, all of us will talk about that. So you are here, you have your own. There are people when their own is. Their voice has a way of, is like an arrow. When they talk like this, it's very soft, but it enters your mind, it pierces through your soul. Those kind of people, when you know that people have told you, oh, the way you talk, just make sure you do what, keep working on that yourself, so that's your words, the way it enters like this, it's like it's encapsulating, it's magical. And keep doing that. Before you know, that becomes your strength. There are people is their eyes, there are people is the way they look, there are people is the way they sound, there are people how smart they are, there are people, they are big English, like vocabularies, the big vocabularies. That is how you do, that's how they stand out. I had somebody that was like Patrick Obiabo in my Writing and Speaking Association at that time when we were in university. Lawrence. If Lawrence stand up, the only thing people are interested in, they want to hear which big word Lawrence won't use today. Which big word Lawrence won't use today. That's the only thing people are interested in. So they will now wait for him. Once he now does the whole big people will have the clapping for him and all that. So you need to look out for that and do what and start telling yourself, giving that to yourself, feeding your mind with those things. Feeding your mind with those things. I don't know your strength. You know your strength yourself. So what you now need to do is to discover that strength and start feeding your mind with it and start telling yourself, okay, this is what I can do. This is me. Nobody does this thing better than me. Like personally, talking about myself, I know that if I do 10 presentations, 9 or even 10 of the times in those 10 presentations, one of the best things people will comment is your voice. Oh, I like your voice. So when I stand, whenever that person is talking, like we're 10 of us that speak now, if this person, if number one talk, number two, and it's my turn to talk, once I talk, the only thing people will always refer back to is what? The voice. So what do? I do it's okay. And so I've known this over time. I don't think there's any day that I've not heard, join the choir, refuse to join the choir on purpose. I've never joined the choir all my life. So, but I know that the voice, and now sometimes people will be like, it's not the way it is now. I kept on working on it, kept on improving it. So it gets better, So that it gets to a point, it's the only thing that can do what get me access to that door. It's the voice. So that is what you do, what you can do for yourself. And find out that thing that can get you through that door. And keep doing what, focusing on it and not the fears. Are we communicating? All right. And finally, for what you can do. Build your speech on clarity and not complexity. Build your what? Your speech on clarity and not complexities. It's always when we talk about complexities, we're talking about, it's very tempting to, when you're making a research about your presentation, let's say you have a speech to give, it's always very tempting to want to bring all the information in this life and put it there. You want to teach everything. Let's say, for example, you're researching about climate change. You're researching about climate change, for example, and you want to talk to an audience about climate change. It's always tempting that you want to get what is Harvard saying about climate change? What is John Hopkins saying about climate change? What is this one saying about? And you want to get all of the information. You want to put everything in your slide or your presentation so that you can sound smart, so that you can sound prepared, so your audience can learn one or two things. But the point is that has it ever happened to you where you started because of you prepared your presentation, and in doing the presentation, it gets to a point, you get stuck because probably forgot, why did I even put this thing inside here? Because you forgot to know how to do what? Explain it. Has it ever happened to any of you? Like maybe you do not know how to explain that particular concept, but it's in your slide. But you forgot to do it, or maybe you don't know how to do or to explain that particular thing. It happens to most speakers who have all of the information in their speech, but because of the fact that they put all those information, they get to confuse themselves. And your audience will not even know which angle you're coming from. So always make your speech as simple, remove complexities, make it as simple as possible, build it as clear as possible. So just make sure, okay, this one, I start my speech, an attention grabber, introduction, body, conclusion, call to action. Very simple, straight to the point, so that you don't confuse yourself, because you are trying to do what sound very smart, and at the end of the day, you do what you confuse yourself. That's also the same thing when you use ambiguous words in your presentations. Like, who wants to listen to Patrick Omiagwon and he's listening Krikum Krankum, the Higi Haga, all the many things he used to say and all that? You see, all those things he's saying, the only reason people will clap for him is because, hey, Higi Haga, they did not learn anything. They did not pick nothing. It doesn't mean what he's saying is not correct. If you go and trace, but how many persons? Okay, let me ask. How many of you, after a class, you go and say, there was one word this man used, or let me go and check it in dictionary. How many of us do that here? Yeah? Very rare. You do what? Okay, there's one you see, but you don't understand. Okay, you want to ask? No problem, we'll answer you. All right. So now, there are a lot of people who do what? Who will see those words? Which kind of word be this one? They will just jump it and they will forget about it. And maybe that's the word that has the greatest of impact, that will have the greatest of impact on your audience. Because we talked about that public speaking is about choosing the words that have the greatest of impact on your audience. So that words that have the greatest of impact is supposed to be the word that is supposed to influence them. When you now go and use words and how ambiguous the words are, at the end of the day, nobody gets to understand what you're saying and all that. Who won? Nobody. You lost. The audience lost. So build your speech on what? On clarity and not complexity. Are we communicating? So what's the word?
I want to
exit. Let me say.
Yes, I want this this.
Okay.
I don't understand how.
Okay, to understand the concept behind the whole sentence there. Okay.
This exit.
It's exits, not exists. Exits, like to go out. It's exits. All right. So That is it. Any other question? So let's move. That is it for what the part we talked about, how to conquer your fears into excitement to help you. Now apply any of these techniques and more that we're going to be discussing as the class goes on. It will help you in improving your public speaking skills. Now, what is the component of a successful speech? What is it that when your speech has it, it will help you get in control of your audience. It will help you inform your audience better. It will help you do the presentation better. It will help you also enjoy your audience because they're going to do what they're going to love you. They're going to love your presentation. That's what we'll talk about, the components of a successful speech. Every speech should have one of these components or all of these components. So the first component of a successful speech is storytelling. The first component of a successful speech is what? Storytelling. Any speaker that knows how to tell stories is a speaker that everybody wants to listen to. Stories are used for a variety of reasons. Stories are done what? Are used for a variety of reasons. They are used to do what? To build a connection with a particular audience. For instance, if I'm here, maybe I tell a story about Madonna University. Chances are that if you went to Madonna University, you probably would do what? To connect to the story better. You'll be able to flow with me better. You'll be able to understand whatever it is I'm saying, you understand it better. As a Nigerian, if I tell stories about Nigeria and all the things we're suffering, you better do what? Chances of you being able to understand or flow with the speech is higher than when I tell you a story of something you do not even know or you've not experienced before, as the case may be. That is why Nigerians like to watch Nigerian movies. Because those Nigerian movies are practically what we go through almost every day of our life. So stories are important in public speaking. In fact, if you want your audience to follow you better, tell a personal story. Personal story about yourself. Use yourself as an example. Because have you ever been in a presentation where a speaker is telling a story about himself and it's as if it's you, he's talking about yourself, it is you this speaker was talking about? Has it ever happened to you before? Yes. You see that part where he's doing that thing is because he wants to connect with you better. So every speech should have one story or what? Or the other. So what do established speakers or professional speakers use stories for? Professional speakers use stories to make statistical data, graphics, and facts more vivid and interesting. If I tell you that Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world, that's what the statistics says, right? Nigeria is poverty capital, even though it's wrong. Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. What happens is that I'll now tell you, if I just say it and just end it at that, and without telling you, oh, because every Nigerian, is there anybody here who does not have a neighbor or who doesn't have a family member who is poor? Is anybody here? Anybody here? Nobody. Even if you don't have, at least you've seen in movies when people are abjectly what? Poor to the point that they can't even feed. You see them in the street. You see people roaming in the street and all of that. So statistics about poverty or unemployment, let's use unemployment statistics for example in Nigeria. Like if I quote that Nigerians that the unemployment rate is about 40 something percent and all of that, almost every Nigerian will do what we agree. But it's a lie. But then again, if I go to another statistic, which is the new way MBS is calculating the unemployment rate in Nigeria, you also find out that it's actually somehow is the truth. It doesn't mean the other one is not correct, so the 49% is not correct. So it doesn't mean the other one, the less than 49% that MBS is giving us now, doesn't mean it's not correct. They're all correct, but they use different words. There are different reasons why they are using, like the first one, which the one we always know all our life, is about Nigerians that unemployment maybe for something percent as the case may be. And if you check, what they are calculating is people who are in government, either government payroll or government or private establishments that pay taxes and the rest of them, where people know the staff of the organization are enrolled into personal income tax, as the case may be. That's how government get to know, okay, this is the number of people who are employed and unemployed, as the case may be. But do you know that that person who is selling akara is employed? But you know it's not captured in the database before now that MBS was using. That person selling akara in your streets is not captured before, but now the person can be captured. There's largely no Nigerian adult that doesn't have a job. It's difficult to see. There is none. Like maybe if you see Nigerian adults, like from what I'm talking about, adults from 18, 20 and above, and the rest of them, it's difficult to see. They have one or two things that they are doing. It might not be like that guy where they do bricklaying for sites where they pay 5K per day. Day job 5,000. Calculate 5,000 per day for 30 days. How much is it? Yeah? How much is it? 150K. When someone earns 150K for Nigeria salary, no be better job be that. No be better job be that. You see? Every job has an effect.
Yes, maybe that's supposed to be.
Okay, because of pain and all of this, and it comes with even oil workers, people who work offshore and onshore, and the rest of them. There are dangers associated with it. They are oil workers; they pay them in millions. There are dangers associated to it. I work with a chemical production company within the oil and gas value chain. Have you ever inhaled chemical before? You try fuel, inhale fuel. Okay, no, I mean proper chemical. When I mean undiluted chemical, have you inhaled it before, like in a production factory where they are producing chemical? Yes, imagine inhaling sniper every day. I agree with you. Yes, mosquito no go near you. But yes, every job has an associated risk. Every job. You understand? So, but it doesn't mean that you cannot do what? You're not earning a living from that job. There's somebody who is selling firewood. We're just in one day at evening like this. We're just with friends. So there's a woman that sells firewood. And from the conversation, they say the woman earns like 10, 15, 20K per day from that firewood. I was not thinking, are you sure I'm not going to start to sell firewood? Yes, now. Because what I need to do is open one shop in this part, move to another location, open another, because at least minimum per month, I'm earning in that different location, like 300, 350K. So if I have it like in 10 different locations in Abuja, I'm a big boy. I'm making a lot of money. So but that's by the way. Why am I saying this? Statistics are important. So, but when you're giving statistics and you tell a story with that statistics, it helps you to do what? Like when I told you now that the newest statistics that MBS, the statistics that this in unemployment level is very low, and I'm backed it up with the fact that that person who is a bricklayer is not unemployed. Is he unemployed? He's not. Because you know how much this person is earning. In Nigeria, where they earn 150K, 200K, no be small money now. And some of them earn more than that on a monthly basis. They earn more than that on a monthly basis. But the problem is that they probably are not financially prudent. So they can get that 5K and blow it that same day and look for another 5K the next day. So by the end of the month, they have like 10K. So the difference between them and salaried people is that this person waits for the end of the month. They will pay them that 150K in bulk. You now carry that 150K, probably go buy food stuff. It helps the person to make a wiser financial decision. But when that bricklayer also knows that, okay, I don't need to spend more than 1,000 in feeding myself if I'm earning 5K per day. I'm not supposed to eat more than 1,000 or 2,000 as the case may be. Let me save for every 5,000 I make, let me save 3,000. He will be like that civil servant or that corporate worker who is also earning 150K because he has like, at least he will be able to save like 80K or so to remove something for salary, for rent, as the case may be and all that. So that is what stories does. Another thing story does is that story helps you to do what? To relieve tension. Like when I started talking about, there are stories that I started telling you. When I tell you those stories and you are thinking, oh, that's true, this thing has happened to me before, this is correct too, this is this thing. Do you know that time you're discussing amongst yourself? When the speaker tells a story and people are, but this thing with the speaker they talk not true. It makes what? It makes the speaker feel more what? Relaxed. Because it helps the speaker to do what? To relieve tension. So all the tension that is in the room is relieved because the audience will always react when your story is interesting. Once you tell an interesting story, your audience will do what? Will react. And that reaction is a reaction of enthusiasm. Oh, wow, that's true. And then when you now say one that is very funny, they will laugh. And the moment they are laughing, you're already comfortable. Say, okay, I've gotten them. My charm, they work. Yes, that is what a speaker does. So in your mind, you'll say, oh, yes, my charm is working. It's working very well. So it makes you do what? You now get a breather for yourself. Your body will do what? Calm down, and the tension will do what? Will go off, as the case may be. Also, professional speakers use stories to make important points of the presentation memorable. People will forget all the things you said, but they'll find it difficult to forget the stories you told about that particular concept. Like, how many of us would forget the story when I was talking about how I became a better speaker, for example, the story I told you? When you remember it, you probably will forget every other thing. But when you read through this, you now say, okay, this man told a story about this. There was a story he used in backing this up. There was a story he used. You will remember every single thing I've said. Once you remember the story, you remember every single thing I've said. Like one of the things I do back in the university to help myself, the textbooks we use in the university were foreign textbooks. I read psychology. So the books we used in the university were foreign textbooks, and in those foreign textbooks, there are usually stories about different ailments, different psychological conditions that people suffer from. So before I read about that particular ailment I won't talk about, I first of all read the first chapter. The first chapter usually has a story about an individual who suffered or who suffers, or sometimes they are even prominent people. The stories of those prominent people. Let me take, for example, the issue of obsessive compulsive disorder as a condition. Why I can write about obsessive compulsive disorder till today is because when I was reading about obsessive compulsive disorder, the story they told about it was about David Beckham. And there's this American guy that does this program on TV, Deal or No Deal. It doesn't shake people. It doesn't shake people. His own obsessive compulsive disorder. Okay, let me even explain better so that you can understand. How many of us usually go lock our door like 50 times in the night to check if it's locked before we go to bed? Does it happen to anybody here?
My gas, I have to check.
You have to always keep checking your gas. Okay, your gas. Okay, maybe that's just precaution. Maybe it's not very, but what if you don't check? What happens to you? You'll not be comfortable. How many of you sweep your room every minute? You want to remove dirt and all of that? Anybody? It happens to you. Like once you feel any sound like this, you are sweeping. Every time you're sweeping. There are people whom your own probably will not be OCD. I'm not diagnosing anybody, please. It's not the sixth class and the rest of them. But I'm only saying that I want to use it as an example so that you can understand what we talk about OCD. So David Beckham's OCD, his own is that if every minute he's arranging his magazine, he will go and he will come back again. He will go to where his suit he will arrange his suit. Make sure that's his own OCD. And if he doesn't do that, he'll feel like something is missing. Like he will feel so uncomfortable, and the rest of them, like there is something, someone is stealing something from them. The same thing with people who lock their door like 50 times in the night. You wake up in the middle of the night and say, hey, somebody's coming. Like this guy that does that TV program in America, he doesn't shake people because he believes that if he shake you, you will contact germs and the rest of them. So he doesn't shake anybody. That's his own, he doesn't shake nobody. To the point he had to write a book. You know how this program I'm talking about is the same kind of program this guy does. Frank Gedoho does, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? How can you do a program that looks like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and someone wins and you can't even shake the person? Congratulations. He doesn't shake you. Because he feels that once he shakes you, he will do what? He will contact germs. To the point he's so scared of germs to the point that he wrote a book. Here is the deal. The name of the book is Here's the Deal, Don't Shake Me. That's the name of the book. Here's the deal, don't shake me. So you cannot, if you like, be the president of America, he will not shake you. You'd rather do it if it's bump with you. You just do it if it's bump with you, but shake you, no way, he cannot shake you. That's his own OCD. So people have different kinds of OCDs and the rest of them. So why am I sharing this story? I'm sharing this story is that if I'm going to write about OCD, the only thing I need to do is just to remember those stories about OCD, those stories that were told about it, and I'm able to do what to write convincingly, then using those examples and all of that to write about it. That's what story does for you as a speaker. It helps your audience to do what? It helps you to make important points of the presentation memorable. It also helps you to establish a connection with a particular audience. So the particular audience we're talking about is, if you tell a story as a Nigerian, you tell a story about Lagos traffic. Lagos traffic. Like when Chimamanda is talking, she usually, when she wants to talk about Nigeria, she said, just like in Nigeria, whenever we want to lie in Lagos, we say, oh, sorry, I'm late, you know this Lagos traffic. And probably he's still at home. Oh, and he will tell you he's stuck in Lagos traffic and he has not even left the house. Now, that's the typical story of a Nigerian. The best lie Nigerians lie when they come late for an appointment is there was traffic. That's the best lie every Nigerian will lie. So when you tell stories about there was traffic, every Nigerian in the room will do what? Will connect to it. Because we usually, either we've lied about there was traffic, or somebody we know in our presence has lied about there was traffic before in one way or the other. That's what story does for you. It helps you to do what? To build a connection with an audience. In this room now, for example, if you've not been to America or any of the European country where snow falls, if I start telling you stories about the snow, will you be able to, you will not connect to it because you probably have not experienced the snow before. But when someone has experienced the snow before, that's when you tell stories. Like, how many of us berated Pastor Adeboye when he said that he came to, was it one country and this thing, winter left or what? Yeah, that was the story, right? All through he stayed there was no winter. We doubt it, right? A lot of us doubt it, right? Why would you doubt it? Yeah? There was no connection. Okay, yeah, there was no connection, yes. But it's because also you've not experienced it before. You've not experienced, but me, I've experienced when someone does what? Took care of the weather by praising God. When you don't have rainmakers, don't you go to the village, you don't see rainmakers. Rain, only like they are doing a wedding here. The only place rain will not be falling is that compound, but rain will be fall for this road like this. Have you not seen it happen before? So if you've seen it happen before, why would you doubt the fact that the man of God cannot ask God to remove winter till he leaves that city? It's possible. I've seen firsthand where someone stands and the person I used to follow my aunt she's a caterer. So we went for these catering services in the place in Nnewi. And the rainmakers, the funeral, so the rainmakers came to meet the family and was like, they should pay so that they can remove rain, so rain will not fall on the day of the funeral and the rest of them. But the man said that he's a Christian, that he's not paying anybody for anything. But that rain will never fall at that funeral, except he's not a Christian. Those guys say, is that what you said? Okay. As two days to it, it's in rain kept on falling constantly in that environment. Kept on falling. As this thing, it dried up then, before, the time for funeral now, when people will start coming and all of that, before you know, the rain started again. As that rain started, that guy, see this rain, you're not going to fall today. You see this rain, you're not falling today. He picked his Bible, called his siblings. They went around their house, singing, dancing, like singing to God, praying, singing to God. They went round. I saw it, nobody see someone tell me,
my very presence. They went around that house 5 times, 6 times, and that rain stopped. Like the nearby villages, rain they fall for there, but there was no rain in that environment. See, that funeral finished. So when somebody like that, who is not even a pastor, can do that, then let alone a devil. So it's possible. I know the reason some of you doubt him also because you people are obedient and he did not support your candidate in election. Yes. Because if you supported your candidate in election, you're not going to drag him. Am I lying? Yes? Am I lying? Yes, ma. If you supported Peter Obi in the election, chances are that all of you will do what to say, he's a man of God. Like, people are always celebrating Paul and Nenche and the rest of them because it's the ones that supported you during the election. That's the only man of God that exists in Nigeria right now. The rest of them, even to the point that people can berate somebody like Paul, they say, Adefarisin, because he did not do what? Like, before now, experience, like, before election, this season is season for experience, right? Everybody go, they post experience. How many of you have posted experience this year? Why? Because he did not stand behind your Messiah and this in politics, P2B. It's normal. So that's why people are doubting it. All right. Also, what does story do? Story has to do what? To emphasize the message. Like all of these stories I'm telling in here is just to do what? To emphasize the message, the importance of telling stories in public speaking. Also, they use stories to introduce controversial issues. If you want to engage your audience, you want your audience to be engaged in your speech, introduce a controversy. Once you introduce a controversy, you see everybody will do what? No, it's a lie. I don't agree. No. One of the controversies you can introduce could be politics, could be religion, could be marriage. Boys are better than girls. Girls bring nothing to the table. Those are the controversies you can introduce. Am I lying? Like if I say now, what do girls bring to the table? You see, all the girls say, eat me raw, right? Am I lying? But the guys will now be like, yes. They're not bringing anything to the table. So that is what story does. Story has to do or to introduce controversial issues. They also use stories to encourage thinking. They use stories to do or to encourage thinking. You know, there's a story someone will tell. You'll be asking yourself, have I been guilty of this before? Let me use myself as an example. In my 200 level in the university, I listened to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Dangers of a Single Story. How many of us have listened to that TED Talk by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie? The Dangers of a Single Story. Huh? Please listen to that. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Ngozi Adichie now. Adichie, you don't know Ngozi Adichie? Yes. The Dangers of a Single Story. Single story, yes. Yeah? No, a TED Talk. TED Talk is on YouTube. Just type Dangers of a Single Story by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. You can see it on YouTube. Listen to that. Without sounding maybe to that particular speech changed my life personally. It changed my life in so many ways. The outlook I have about other religion, or the outlook I have about other region, or other ethnic group, or even the other genders and the rest of them, are prominently as a result of that particular TED Talk. Now, what did that TED Talk do for me? It helped me to find out, have I been guilty of a single story? What are the single stories we are familiar with? Igbos like money. Igbos do what? Like money. That's a single story. Yorubas are dirty. That's a single story. Hausas are not educated. That's a single story. So she was giving an example of how when she went to America to go to school in America, her roommate took pity on her even without knowing her. So before her roommate met her for the first time, her roommate assumed she didn't know how to use a stove. Yes, her roommate assumed she didn't know how to use a stove because after all, she's coming from Africa where they use firewood and the rest. They don't even know how to use stove to cook. Hello. Also, she had that Is there? Okay. So she had all of those. You can sit here. So she had all of those. Her roommate did not just assume she didn't know how to use a stove. Her roommate, even when her roommate asked her, what's your favorite music? Her roommate was surprised when she brought out her tape of Mariah Carey and the rest of them. Her roommate was like, you listen to Mariah Carey? How? How do you listen to Mariah Carey and the rest of them? So a lot of people have their own. There is somebody, okay, how many of us have listened to Tafa Balewa speech that surfaced online some time ago? Tafa Balewa, the first prime minister of Nigeria, who is a northerner. How many of us have listened to his speech before? Go and listen to his speech. You'll be like, is this guy from North? He speaks like a British. Like that was how he was speaking. He spoke like you know when someone is talking like this, you'll be like, I was thinking they say these people don't know anything. So the same thing applies in different stories that we have. Okay, as Christians that are here, how many of us believe? I asked us last week, Abby. How many of us believe that they told, say, 70 virgins in heaven? Sure? 7. It was not 70 virgins. They used to say 70 virgins. That's what they say, Abby. 70 virgins. That's what I heard. Okay, you heard 7. Me, I heard 7. So you see, conspiracies. Me, I heard 7. So you heard 7. But they're all lies. Yes. You say, You say, Because that was what happened to me. When I listened to that TED talk by Ngozi Adichie, I felt like, okay, have you been guilty of a single story before? That was what I asked myself. And I said, okay, maybe I've been guilty of a single story before. I went ahead. That was what made me my 200 level. I went to a mosque throughout my 200 level. I was not going to church. I went to mosque. Like I was going to mosque we had a mosque in the school. So instead of the mosque does not happen on Fridays because everybody leaves the hostel on Sundays. So either the Pentecostals have the place where they worship, the Catholics have the place where they worship, the Muslims have a place where they worship. So their own Juma prayers are on Sundays most of the time, like all of those time in school then. So instead of me to go to Catholic where I am, where I belong, I'll do what? I'll go to where they do Juma prayer. And what am I going there to do? I'm going there to ask them questions. Is it true that you people believe in 17 virgins when someone kills? That was the first question I asked when I went there. Because when they were teaching, I paid attention. I was listening. I read the Quran throughout. Imagine for a full semester, I was going to. It was risky. I took the risk. I knew that if I was caught in that place as a Christian or as a Catholic, in fact, even as Catholic, if I was caught in Pentecostal going to this thing, I'll probably go for suspension. Because yes, now, in my school, if you're Catholic, you go to where Catholic are. If you're Pentecostal, you go to where Pentecostal are worshiping. Muslim, you go to. So if they have caught me going to the mosque, and they know that I'm not Christian, I'm not a Muslim, the school authority, either I'll be expelled or I'll be suspended. But I took that risk to be going to the mosque every Sunday, just to understand. That was a period I knew that, actually, the part of the Quran that said that if you slew a soul, that's how it's written in Quran, something I've forgotten. If you slew a soul, it's assumed you slew the whole world. And if you save a soul, it's assumed you saved the whole world. In my head, I'm like, okay, so if they teach them this thing, so where is the story of if you kill, you get 70 virgin in heaven? It's coming from. Then again, and I say, okay, I now pray for that, what the Muslims believe in is hadiths, the 7 hadiths. So I'm like, okay, what are the hadiths? You know, the 7th hadith believe in the second coming of Christ. They call Christ in the Quran is referred to as Isa. The second coming of Christ. So we Christians believe in the second coming of Christ. Even Muslims also believe in what? In second coming of what? Christ. I'm like, so wait a minute. So what's all these stories about Islam and all of that? So something struck me, and I found out that the only thing that is happening in the world of religion and politics is perspective. That is what happens. Because like I told us in the first class that if I want to build a church that's AK-47 wielding church, I can build that church and I'll have members. The only thing I need is to do what? is to look for verses in the Bible that confirms or supports killing. And I will use it and do what? Indoctrinate one person. That one person will bring one person. That one person will bring one person. Before you know, we are 20. Before you know, we are 30. Before you know, we have an army of people carrying AK-47. Let me tell you, see that thing that surfaced, that picture that surfaced on the internet during the election, where the pastor had an AK-47 and all of that. If other pastors started coming out with an AK-47, preaching and all of that, that is a religious war, before you know it, members of the church will start importing AK-47 and giving to their members. We are protecting our religion so that they will not come and kill us. And that's what will happen. And that is what is about what perspectives. Then I asked also, I had an uncle growing up that he was Catholic, by the way. If my uncle comes to our house on Sunday, when my mom say, okay, serve him meal, he will ask my mom, when did you buy the things in cooking this food? When? If my mom bought as small as Maggi on that Sunday to cook that food, my uncle will not eat. He said, why did you go to market on Sunday? Are you supposed to go to market on Sunday? Are you not a Christian? Are you supposed to go to market on Sunday? Why are you supposed to go and buy anything on Sunday? You're supposed to be at home. You're supposed to go to church and then come back and relax and all of that. Do you think, you say hunger wire he might be? Now, do you think if this my uncle goes to a church where they tell them that it is God that is telling you pick up arms and kill the Amalekites? Who are the Amalekites of this world? The non-Christians, they are the Amalekites. So it's possible to say the Amalekites will now be people who worship in winners and who are worshiping in all these places, the Amalekites. So my uncle, he will be one of the people that will be convinced first. If I open that church, he's the first person that I will convert. And he will follow me. To the point that this man, he has rosary around, there was one bike he was using that time. He has rosary in all the corners of the bike, Bible everywhere. But guess what, my brothers and sisters? That my uncle no longer goes to church. As we're talking. From one extreme to another extreme. He no longer goes to church. So that is what happens. So why am I telling you this story? It helped me to do what? The Dangers of a Single Story by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie encouraged my thinking and also helped me to do what? To shape my belief about people. So I get to know you for who you are, not because of what you represent. So I meet a Yoruba person. I'm not going to say, Yorubas are this. I'm going to see, okay, this is who you are. But then if you not show me, that is what they said about Yorubas. Okay, we move. I move to the next person. One of the best people I've lived with in my life, like one of the people who have done me so well, besides immediate family, is people from other religions and the rest of them. Like if I go to a Pentecostal church, they're asking me, you're not Catholic. How do you cope, entering this place and you're happy? You don't act like Catholic. I'm like, what is there? It's not to worship God. I go there, worship God, and come out. What's there? Okay, I have to be looking at them. They're doing scatter, it's okay, come together. They're doing ro. So that means it's not correct. Because a typical Catholic would be like, what's this ro that these people are doing? But I would say, okay, I'll just be doing even now, not do ro. I'll just be shaking my head. Jesus Christ. I will pray, worship my God, and go home. What is there about, all of those issues and all of that? And I tell you, honestly, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie contributed so much to that, which have become of me lately when it comes to. So when I support a candidate, they be like, oh, you're an Igbo boy. Now why are you supporting another candidate that is not Igbo? I say, I'm looking at the two of them. This one is better than this guy. So what do you want me to do or to do? So, but that's by the way. All right. So also stories, they use stories to raise the energy level of the room. Now, why am I sharing all of these things with you? I'm sharing all these things so that you know the importance of telling stories. You see, if you just imbibe by having this at the back of your mind that if I tell stories in my speech, that means I am shaping people's belief. Have you not done 80% of your job as a speaker? You have. So if I tell stories, I'm going to encourage thinking. Have you not done almost how many percent of your job already as a speaker? You've done almost all the job, because speaking is about getting your audience to think to themselves and ask themselves questions. Is there a way I've been guilty of this thing this speaker is saying? Am I following through with what he's saying? Okay, this person is talking to us about water. Like those are some of us who, when we go to Aproko Doctor's timeline page, we'll be like, Doc, not start today. Which one is don't put salt in your rice when you're cooking your white rice and all of that? You know, you will be you will say, Doc, don't be doing all these things. We don't want to hear and all that. Or some of you who say that you used to see a Aproko Doctor in your dreams when you're about to commit one blunder and the rest of them, you see him in your dream. Now, what Aproko Doctor has succeeded in doing is to shape the belief of a lot of young Nigerians about their health. That if you are conscious about your health, is because probably you're following Aproko Doctor and the rest of them. That is what happens in public speaking. So you are able to do if you're able to do all of these things, you've done your job as a public speaker. So this is just one component. Mind you, we're just talking about all this thing we'll be saying here is just one component of a successful speech, storytelling, and the importance of this component in speech making. All right. So what are the do's and don'ts of storytelling? Someone will say, okay, why are you just telling story? What are the do's and don'ts of storytelling? The do's and don'ts of story. The do's. Always make your story relevant to the subject at hand. Because we will not say that, because they say tell stories, you now go and tell story. Instead, you're talking about B, you are telling story that does not even connect to what you're talking about, because they say, Dennis said everybody should tell stories. So you go and manufacture your own story and be telling stories and all of that. No, make sure your stories are relevant to the subject at hand. Whatever it is you're saying, let the story be relevant to it. Your stories keep your stories simple and short. Keep it simple and short. Don't put all the details, bring everything and all that together in the story. Eliminate inconsequential details. Eliminate inconsequential details. And space your stories at intervals. So we're talking about eliminating inconsequential details. We're talking about there are some details that are not important to you. For example, when I was telling you about how Chimamanda's Details of a Single Story helped shape my life. Imagine if I started with telling you, the day I saw it, it was one of my friends that told me, have you listened to Chimamanda's TED Talk? I said, no, I've not listened to it. It's okay. The TED Talk is Dangers of a Single Story. And I said, oh, Dangers of a Single, it's important. Okay, how is it? And now when I went back to the house, I brought my laptop. As I brought my laptop out, I on my router. Then I placed it on the bed, my hostel bed. As I was about
So there was a knock on the door. Then my roommate walked in. As my roommate walked in, I said, Guafana, you don't chop. I said, I never chop. And I was still doing the thing. I was trying to see. So we just did this. I even forgot that I was supposed to watch what I was supposed to be watching. So afterwards, they left again because they had classes. Because just came back to just pick one or two things and went back to class. So I continued watching. And as I was about clicking to start watching again, that was how another of my friend came. Imagine if I was just telling you all these stories, and as well, my computer then was like TV. So they took lights and the TV off. Imagine I was telling you all this, and they came with all of those things. And actually, those were the things that happened at the time. Imagine I was telling you all these many stories, and not hitting the point I was trying to make. So eliminating consequential details. There are some points that are really important. Just remove it. Your audience are not interested in those. All right, space your stories as intervals to emphasize the message. Space them. Don't just unpack all the stories at the same time and all that. All right, make sure the plot of the story has a lesson or a transformation outcome. Every story should have a lesson. So if you're telling a story, it's like you're encouraging them to do what? The plot of the story is that if it could happen to me, then it could happen to you too. That could be the plot of the story. So there will be a lesson the audience must learn. So if there's no lesson the audience must learn, why are you telling the story? It's not important at that point. You understand? So every story must have what? Should involve a lesson or a transformation outcome that the listeners can relate to and benefit from. All right. Use appropriate body language. Appropriate body language. If you're telling a story that is funny, why don't you laugh? You know, you're really funny, express yourself. But then a story that you want the audience to cry because maybe, let's say for example, you go to a funeral operation. You your expression should show that it's a sad story. You're telling a sad story. You can't be telling a sad story and you're smiling. What's that? It's a sad story. It should be expressed that this is what is sad story. All right. Also, use elements of the story that your audience can relate to, people, places, or familiar facts, things that your audience can do what can relate to. Are we communicating? Yes. As I told us earlier, you want to tell a story, let's be something people can relate to, not something they cannot relate to. Emphasize the adjectives and the verbs in the stories to make them sound interesting. People like interesting stories. But when you emphasize the adjectives and the verbs, it makes it sound very interesting so that you'll be like, oh wow, you laugh and you do what you're happy that you're telling the story. All right. Learn your stories by heart. Don't go and forget your stories because you say tell stories, people now go and be manufacturing stories and then they'll forget their stories. And there's a story I want to tell, and you'll not forget all the lines of the story that you've chosen to tell. So please learn your story by heart so that when you're telling them, you will be all right. What are the dons? Do not use more than 2 or 3 stories on the same topic, or as each successive one will lose its impact. You don't want your stories to lose its impact. Mind you, the impact is that you want the stories to do all of those things that we listed out before. Be able to help people think, be able to help people change their life or belief systems and the rest of them. So do not use stories, do not use terms that are foreign to the experiences of your audience. You can't use stories that are foreign to the experiences of your audience. Like my mother would say, she said that when she started writing earlier, she used to write about things she could not really identify herself because of the books she was reading, the American books and British novels she read growing up. So when she started writing about ginger beer, even though she didn't know what ginger beer was about. So you can't write something that you don't even know what it is. So how do you explain it? So it was until she saw African writers like Chinua Achebe, Kamara Lai, and the rest of them. That was when she discovered that people like her could exist in literature and started writing based on what she could experience, her own experiences and the things she experienced growing up and all that. That's why she was able to create a mark for herself. So always tell stories that are not foreign to the experiences of your audience. Your audience should be able to familiarize and get familiar with the things you're saying. Do not fill stories with too many characters, events, and details. Those are the dawns of storytelling. All right. Do you have any questions? That is it for what? Storytelling, which is one of the first components of a successful speech. The next component of the successful speech is body language. So we're going to treat that by next week because we do not have time anymore. So who is going next? So we'll take 2 more persons or so for our practical and then we're going to listen to them. Who's going next? For our manuscript speech. Thank you. Please a round of applause for him.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The father founder, our founder, Mr. John Ebiechina, Quandrum resident and executive of our association, revered members of the High Table,
our distinguished guests, our venerated finalists, beloved Mawasans, ladies and gentlemen. A year has passed since this administration started, and today precedes the genesis of events of a new administration. And I want to state unequivocally that we are ready for this new episode. I count it a privilege to have been part of this vision, born out of a desirous mind to promote intellectualism among great minds through the strong propagation of writing and speaking visions. I thank you for your contributions and sacrifices you have made all this while. However, I cannot fail to thank you for this distinguished honor and for the confidence which was bestowed on me for the last 1 year as the locomotive engineer of this moving train. More so, the last 1 year has been quite rewarding for Mawasa because in the last 1 year, we were able to synchronize our energy in maintaining our collective vision, preserve the inheritance of our past leaders, and place the association at the pinnacle of academic prowess in the institution. This was evident in the 2015 Madonna University International Convention for Experts and Professionals, a feat that is second to none. Furthermore, in a bid to respect the first and the second arm of our name, which is writing and speaking, we advertise our results to be having a weekly rehearsal class, which has proven to be effective in helping us confront stage fright with intense audacity and bringing out the latent writing and speaking potential in us. Today marks a new beginning in the history of our behemoth association, a new page in the life cycle of Mawasa. We usher in our president, comrades Akubiola C. Clement, a man of impeccable character, and a new light that will take Mawasa to the next level of proficiency.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, comments? Round of applause for you. Comments? Yes. Comments? Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that for those of you occasions, the rest is
Okay.
also maybe
He's our Mr. Shaker. He has specified that all the shaking people. Now, please make sure that's your position for every class. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your observation. Yes.
In addition to what my
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yes. Good observation. Yes. Any other observation? Yes. Was reading. Wasn't giving a speech. Agree. Yes. Any other comments? Any other comments? Okay, well, I like the fact that you came out to do this presentation. Did you practice it?
No.
You didn't. You do it. Now, you can't do manuscript that practice. That's why, when people used to practice, they say even after all the practice, you don't practice finish. It's difficult to do. And you just say you practice. Now, let me tell you something. Public speaking requires practice, especially for a manuscript speech. And also, especially the fact that you were not the one that wrote the manuscript, even the one you wrote, you have to practice it. Because the expectation is that all of the body languages that are present in public speaking must be present in manuscript speech. So the eye contact that you must have in normal speech, be it spontaneous speech, extemporaneous speech, and the rest of them, you must have that eye contact, it must be there.
Gestures must be there. Movement, like when I talk about movement, the way your head is moving, because if you have a lectern, you can't move out from the stage. You can't move from the lectern because you're giving a manuscript speech and all of that. That is why most of the time people do what now make use of teleprompters, like flanking them side by side, because it helps them to turn their neck on this side, people on this side of the audience, and they can turn on this side, this other side of the audience, because they are teleprompters that are flanking. Ordinarily, teleprompters will just be in your front like this. But because they expect that you're supposed to be moving, move to this side, move to this side, so that you're able to manage your stage properly. So everybody are carried along, and not just people just facing you directly. And all that. That's why it's important they do what? That's why teleprompters are flanking you side by side, so that you're able to carry everybody along. So besides the fact that like they pointed out, was too slow, pace is important. Pace. I don't know if it was this class I mentioned. Okay, it was my YouTube video yesterday. Okay, pace is important. You don't want to be too slow. You don't want to be too fast. Because when you're too slow, the thoughts of your audience will wander away. They'll get distracted. But when you're too fast, also, your audience will pursue you, and you get tired of pursuing you. They will give up. How many of us, like when we were in primary school, or the secondary school, they used to do dictation for us? How many of us keep up with dictation? When the teacher is dictating, how many of us give up like me? Because me, there's a point you give up, I'll just write, and I'll give us a kid. I'll collect from class prefects. Yes, now, it happens. You do what? I'll collect from the person who I know that will copy. I'll go and do what? Update my notes. Because I can't keep up with the whole read and all that, So that is how your audience will see it. If you're too fast, your audience will pursue you and they'll get tired. And if you're too slow, your audience will follow you like snail. Before you know, their thoughts fly. If you just pass their front like this, they look, they fly. Before you know, they've forgotten that you're there doing the presentation, and it becomes boring. So they don't want to listen to that. So that's why you need to be able to maintain a pace. Ideally, what somebody like Guy Kawasaki advised is that you're supposed to do about 150 words per minute. So you're supposed to pace yourself within so it helps you in your practice, 150 words per minute. So it helps you to do what, to know how to do what pace correctly. Thank you, Abubo, you did well. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. Yes. Okay, thank you. A round of applause for her.
The executive of our intellectual home, ladies and gentlemen, happy Democracy Day. It's honest delight that I stand before you today on the floor of the Mandela Writing and Speaking Association to present my humble manifesto. Permit me, my fellow comrades, to reiterate my fraternal compliment of the day to our dear countrymen, which is culminated in the ongoing tradition process. It is my belief that we all utilize this great occasion for not only spiritual study, but also for sober reflection on ourselves and our dear country. We are no doubt better equipped to move forward with renewed determination and unwavering focus. But that is the story for another day. I am happy with the seed that I see in your heart to better yourself here in Malacca. Martin Luther King Jr. had his own idea of what a work attitude should look like. He said, if a man is called to sweep the street, he sweeps the street even as a Mencheleco painted. As Shakespeare wrote poetry and as Beethoven composed music, he should sweep the street so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth praise and say, here lives a great sweeper who did his job well. In other words, whatever that is worth doing is worth doing well. said this, it is important that I go ahead and render my heartfelt intentions for our intellectual home, Mawasa. It is no longer news that Mawasa is the premier intellectual capacity building association in Madonna University, and as such, it is our collective responsibility.
All right, comments, please. Yes. Okay. What distracting you? Yes. You're trying to get comfortable. Your leg shaking. Was your leg shaking?
Yes.
You're trying to move around so that you will not shake.
Yes.
Okay, you understand. It's normal. Yes. Any other comments?
Yeah, and apart from that, she was vocal, and I love that she stressed that what is what we presentation.
That part of the Martin Luther King's speech. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Some words we are not pronounced. There is. Yes, there is. I don't know what to pronounce. Say something.
Anyway, I think if there was another word not repeated before that she didn't pronounce well. The combination, I know there is one she talked about presents, is to still represents. Is it represent that is there? It's not present, it's represent my humble manifesto, which is represent. Yes, I think that's the part there. Okay, any other comments? Okay, eye contact was not there. That was eye contact. Okay, yes, the movement. What about pace?
There was no break.
Did your punctuations, were you observed? They were not observed. So, you see, punctuations are important. I noticed that, but as much as the punctuations were not observed, as much as they should be observed also. I also noticed that your pace was a bit slow, like there was no energy. It's a manifesto you're giving. I think you came late. We talked about that if a speech determines the energy you bring to the speech, you're canvassing for votes, for presidency. It has to come with a lot of energy. People should know that, okay, you won the job by the way you are doing it, the way you do, or the way you are vocal about it, the energy you bring to it, and all of that. The energy was, I'm here to present my humble manifesto to you. That kind of energy. No. But I like the fact that you practiced a bit, right? You did not even once, you did not read it. Imagine. Okay. Subwadro. All right. Please a round of applause for her. Thank you. Next. Let's take him. Why did you want him? Why do you want him? No, it's not because he's public speaking. Because he's criticizing people, so you want him to do it. See, people don't like critics in public speaking class, and it's not good. Yes. Yes. Okay, no problems. I know you guys like critics. No wahala. All right.
Valedictory speech presented by Comrade
Can we jump that part and just move to the other one?
The father founder, our dean patron, our founder, Mr. John Odesina, boardroom president and executive of our association. Reverend members of the IKU, our distinguished guests, our venerated finalists, beloved Mawasas, ladies and gentlemen. A year has passed since this administration. A year has passed since this administration started, and today precedes the genesis of events of a new administration. And I want to state unequivocally that we are ready for this new episode. I count it a privilege to have been part of this vision, born out of desirous minds to promote intellectualism among great minds through the strong propagation of writing and speaking vision. I thank you for the contribution and sacrifice you have made all the while. However, I cannot fail to thank you for the distinguished honor and for the confidence which was bestowed on me for the last 1 year as the locomotive engine of this moving train. Also, the last 1 year has been quite rewarding for Mawasa because in the last 1 year, we were able to synchronize our energy in maintaining our collective visions.
Thank you. We all wrote this.
Oh, else she's not prepared, she was also.
All right, comments, please. Go ahead, please.
Number one, no, don't worry, my voice is audible. Number one, to me, sorry to say, but it felt like a primary school student reading because your words were coming in one. The pace was so slow that I could actually speak while listening to you. Then, secondly, some of the words were not well pronounced and you were skipping some lines in between. And the way you were keeping eye contact, you were being interactive. So, sorry to say, but compared to the way you were criticizing others, I expected more. I'm not criticizing.
People don't like PTC. I said people don't like PTC. All right, you understand. All right. Please, comments.
Yes, I enjoy the I like the confidence. I like the confidence.
Yes.
The reading wasn't good. But it was confidence. The reading wasn't going because, like she said, it was coming one, and the message wasn't in fast. So that's what I felt.
Okay. Yes.
I think you had an issue of being you said when it comes to speech, you don't have to, don't be that confident and don't be over. Just find your place in it. When you feel like I can do this, I'm very good, you tend to flow because you feel like you need to, I can do this.
Thank you. Good observation. Any other observation? Huh? You said it all right.
And maybe pronunciations too.
Well, the thing is, I like your voice, by the way. Your voice was very audible. Very audible. Besides the fact that you were taking one word, I also know that you're trying to get composure and also that's not your best self. That's one thing people make mistakes with points. You need to be your best self. I want to talk about your best self. You don't have to comment. Like there are people when they are called to speak, next thing they start memorizing everything. You know, I'm here to talk to you about something. What's that? You know, so you don't have to do that. So that's why you have to be your best self. An Igbo man, I will always say, you speak English with an Igbo accent. A Yoruba man, you speak English with a Yoruba accent. A Chinese man, you speak English with a Chinese accent. An Indian man, you speak English with an Indian accent. Even an Englishman, yes, even an Englishman speak English with what? English accent. The same thing with an American. So be proud of your words, your accents. That's when people accuse Buhari that he has Hausa accent, Northern accent, like the Hausa man. Yes? Yes. Yes, I will feel somehow, but okay, let me ask you. Have you listened to Jack Ma speak? Jack Ma, the richest man in China. Have you listened to him speak before? Jack Ma. You know what I tell my young people? I tell them that if you are in your 21 years, go to a small company. Jack Ma has spoken in all the Ivy League schools in the world, their business schools, sharing business knowledge. The point is not the accent, it's the content of what you're sending to people. So all those Oyibo that owns all the Cambridge or the Oxford and the rest of them that own the English themselves do not even care to listen to a Chinese man that has a Chinese accent that is doing small company. So you will not do anything. Small company. That's how he speaks. Listen to Jack Ma, that's how he speaks. But it was an Igbo man that is selling, like, if you hear Cosmos Madoka, Coscharis Motors, when he's speaking English with his Igbo accent. And my wife, Catherine, when he told me that I'm supposed to do this, you'll be like, which man, what? The only thing people are interested in is what is the knowledge he's sharing. So that message from an Igala man, instead of saying message, so say message and all of that. At the end of the day, the point is that whatever is said before that message and the rest of them, it is value. People will listen to you. They want to do what you influence them. Any day, anytime. So, yes, problem. Nobody's going to remove. Earlier, we'll talk about focusing on the message, shifting focus outward. That was what we said, right? That shifting focus outward is forgetting your assets problem and focusing on what the message, the core of your presentation. The core of your presentation is that there's something that the Gala man wants to teach the audience. There's something that Yoruba man, the Yoruba accent, wants to teach the audience, and as the case may be. It's as simple as that. But the moment you now want to behave like the British, I have a neighbor, because this guy grew up in Enugu. He grew up in Enugu. And he did all his schooling up to university, now he graduated from. But because he went to play football abroad, now he came back. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay. Okay. And the funny thing is that as he's fighting to do what to do, that Enugu is for words is still interfering in the way he's doing So why force it? My neighbor, my siblings did not know because he moved into estates after he came back from abroad. My siblings did not even know that guy knew how to speak Igbo until the day we overheard him speaking Igbo with the siblings. I said, wow, this guy grew up in Enugu now. He knows that he speaks the thick that's in the inside Enugu. The Yeshin kind of thing in Enugu. So why? You don't form what you're not. Just say it. Speak it the way it is. If you have problem with lies and rights, nobody will kill you. Nobody will kill you. Or Regos, when I came to Regos, nothing that will happen to you. It's normal. You understand? All right.
Thank you very much.
Sorry to.
Yes.
But let's be realistic here. What can you public speaking your personal thing, like something you want to make money out of? You know, when you're having, like me now, I have this R factor when it comes to R, which is like so now, when you want to make this thing your personal thing that you make money out of, you know, people will not actually come for you when they know that you have something for somewhere and all that. So
okay, it depends on which part of the value chain of public speaking you want to pick your tent in. It depends on the aspect. Now, if the aspect of the public speaking value chain that you want to pick is the aspect of knowledge sharing, like let's say for example you're a business person, you have enough knowledge about business, you want to be teaching people about business. Who is going to care about yours? I love else. Maybe as an MC, maybe it could be a problem. But even at that, the activities, how you make the audience feel, and all of that is most important to them than the L and R mistake that you're making and all that. Nobody is going to take away the importance of speaking with a good accent that is most acceptable. But beyond that, there are some people, the defect is not their fault. Like when someone is a stammerer, it's not the person's fault that the person is a stammerer. Instead, the person fixes that part of the part of the brain that causes you to stammer. Because the brain defect. Instead, if you fix that part, that area faulty in the brain and all that. If you don't fix that part, there's nothing the person can do. Stammer. So when you want to make it a thing where people, do you know how much they pay Jackman to come and speak to Harvard? Do you know how much they pay him? You think all those universities he goes to as visiting professor and all of that, he pays millions of dollars. And he comes to do what I tell my young people. It's not what I tell my young, what's the difference between what I tell my young people with rigors? What's the difference? Is there any difference? No. There's no difference. But they pay him to go to listen to him. Because what he will tell you, the knowledge he will share with you, is more important than the assets. It's more important than the assets. It's the knowledge that people are interested in. Because they will make excuses for you. That's the truth. So when you make that L and R mistake, and you know that this person, or the value I've gotten from this person is way, way better than this L, they will say, it's normal, people make mistakes. L and R is normal. You won't care about the L and R anymore. So just carve a niche for yourself. Work for yourself. Be somebody of value, that you're setting value, you're giving value, and every time. And I bet you, it won't have any impact on you. Any other question? Yes.
One of my questions is, I just think that is I want allowed to allow that to come.
Move away, like if it's a manuscript speech, you can't move away. If it's a manuscript speech, you're supposed to stand at that place. Just on that left hand. I mentioned it a lot of times in this class. On that left hand, you're supposed to stand there on that left hand. While you do, you can do this. You can go like this, you can go like this. Like turn this way, then turn this way. While you're listening. That if your paper where you're reading from is something that you can see this way. But if you can't see this way, then if you can place it like this, then that's why you need to cram like 3-4 lines, raise your head, so that you can carry these people on this side along for that part. Then you cram another 3 to 4 lines, carry these other guys along. Cram another 2 lines, carry the guys in front, raise your head once in a while. The reason is so that you can be able to carry them along. But if there's a teleprompter, teleprompters are usually flanking you like this, like this. So you can always come like this, read from this side, read from this side, while you're still facing these guys out there. Yes. Yes. They have it in their head. Yes. What are you saying? That's your strength.
A good one.
That's your strength. If the person can cram it like that, that's a superhuman. I used to have that ability of cramming, but I no longer have that ability. Yeah?
I played.
So like what I did was that I played down it.
There are
I
other
played down
classes that
it.
I've was meant to end before.
No, I used to be a very good debater. So whenever
And it's
I
past.
write debate and all of that, it takes me only 1 day or 2 days. I cram it. I have it in my head. It can be there for months. You know. Yes. People are laughing at you. So when they are laughing at you, and if it's not a manuscript speech, if it's a manuscript speech, you can't go out of line. But if it's not a manuscript speech, you can move out and say, okay, you can use them as an example. If you use them as an example, they will never laugh at you again. So you can use them if that. Or you cannot go and laugh with them. You not go and do because they're laughing at you. You can't join them and laugh. But you can do what? You can engage them. You can ask them a question. Oh, is there a question, man? They're your friends, but you act like you don't even know them. Is there a question, man? You're laughing. They say, no, there's no problem. They will never attempt to laugh again. You finish that, they will now come and tell you what's the meaning of that. So that's how you can handle those with friends. Yes, any other question? Yes, it wasn't posted already. It's in the group. It was posted last week. Are you not in the group? It was posted last week. Yes. Another question, right? Okay, thank you very much, guys. Next week, I don't know how next week is going to be, but whatever happens, we are going to communicate to you about your class, what the time and everything is. Sure, we will.
Okay, just to quickly check in. So we are looking at having the last PSP class online. Yes, because next week will be middle of December, right? And a lot of people already have plans to travel.
To travel by weekend.
So depending, if we have majority saying they want the class physical, because I think having the class physical is really, really interesting. So depending on you guys. So if that's fine, if we still have majority of you guys around, so we'll put that to debate. Aja is already giving sign. So even those of them online, they can still join physical. So for all of these, those are just the two options. So whichever we decide, we'll let you guys. You prefer physical? Yes. Okay. All right. That's fine. So I think we'll just have the class next week. Here, same time. Is that fine? Yes, sir. That's okay. Fine. So, okay.
All right. Public speaking, yes, there are. In Abuja here, there is Toastmasters International. There's Toastmasters International. It's an international public speaking club. It's in more than 100 countries in the world. Yes, so in Abuja here, I'm a member of Millennium Toastmasters International. We have Emerald Toastmasters International, we have Millennium, we have Jabi, we have, is anyone in Gariki? I think we are the ones in Gariki because our own is the one in this that we have our meeting at this business school. This business